Week 15 of the NFL, an absolute nightmare for making picks and making bets. So let's reload and do it again. Week 16 doesn't look any easier. Welcome to Beat the Book, brought to you by Turf Club at Northern Quest Resort and Casino. I'm your host, Keith Oso, and yes, it was an absolute nightmare as we predicted last week with the picks. We didn't know who was going to play. Games got pushed back a few days all over the place. Doubleheader Monday, doubleheader Tuesday. We thought we might be in for the same thing this week, but we learned this week why the NFL pushed back those games to Monday and to Tuesday. The NFL, turns out, wanted to cancel those games. Neither team's players would have been paid. So the NFL Players Union fought the NFL. They decided to move them back to Monday and Tuesday so that players can get paid for playing in Week 15. NFL, I thought, would do the same thing this week. It was part of our picks. It was part of our strategy. And so far, it has backfired as the NFL has said, you know what? If you're going to play these games anyway, then you're going to play them with the players that you do and do not have available, which massively impacts our first pick of the week. We picked Kansas City at home against Pittsburgh. The Chiefs 10-point favorites. Well, you may recall that I picked Kansas City at -10, thinking, yes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill are on the COVID list. This looked like a prime candidate to be moved back to Monday or Tuesday. This was before we had the information about why the NFL pushed those games back. So the number was big at 10 without Kelce and Hill, but I figured that they'd wait until they came back before they played the game. So far, that has backfired. They have not moved that game back. Kelce and Hill and many other Kansas City Chiefs are on the COVID list right now, and that line has actually moved from 10 to 8.5. So by our early bet, when we got locked in at -10, it cost us so far 1.5 points. If those players are deemed out, I would expect that to move even a little bit more. Now, without being a quarterback, the line isn't going to move significantly. I don't think you're going to see that thing move back to about -3, but I do think if Kelce and Hill are unable to dress on Sunday, you'll see that line move down to about maybe 7, maybe 6.5, so maybe another 1.5 or 2. We're locked in at -10. So we, and along with everybody that plays fantasy football, is hoping that in the playoffs they're going to get those players back. We'll see what happens from there. But again, we've talked about it. Wait until the last moment with these COVID delays and these COVID injury replacements, because you don't know who's going to play until day of. So unlike normal weeks where I want to bet early, then look later in the week and possibly bet again with a different line, or really like the line that I have, this just isn't working out the last 2 weeks as far as your strategy of getting on early. So I'm going to, again, advise to wait until day of game to figure out exactly who's going to dress for each team. Another pick we have, the Rams on the road against Minnesota. The Rams are 3-point favorites. We're taking the Rams on the road because they look like the best team in the NFC right now. And Minnesota, while they can beat anybody, has proven they can lose to anybody as well. Plus, add to the fact Dalvin Cook is not going to be able to play this weekend. He's on the COVID list, but he's unvaccinated, so he is out at home against the Rams. It is a matchup of maybe the two best wide receivers playing right now. Doesn't mean they have the most talent, but Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, the two best NFL receivers possibly in the league right now based on production. They're going to be going head-to-head in this game, so I expect some points to be scored. So does Vegas. That line of the over-under is at 49, so if they have the Rams at -3, they got this game somewhere 24, 23-point range, which is about right. Again, the Rams look like the best team in the NFC. The Bucs are banged up. They just beat Arizona, who had a hangover last week. So I'm taking the Rams on the road against one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFC in Minnesota. Neither of those teams, outside of Dalvin Cook, is overly concerned with COVID as of right now. And again, this changes day to day, hour to hour. So we're keeping our eye on that, but we have Rams locked in at -3. We're always going to pick the Seahawks game on this podcast, even though the Seahawks are now out of the playoffs with 3 weeks to go, something they've never been in this position before under Russell Wilson and under Bobby Wagner. How will the Seahawks answer that call? Well, they've preached forever that they do the same thing no matter who they're playing, no matter what the situation. So if they're going to do what they said that they're going to do over all these years, they should still give it the same effort that they have even when they are at full strength and trying to get into the playoffs. Russell Wilson admitting in the media this week was not 100% when he came back for the Green Bay game with his mallet finger. Anybody that watched that game knows that, and anybody that's watched the game since realizes something's off, something's wrong. But wouldn't it be perfect for the Seattle Seahawks, who have frustrated us all year long? They've had all this talent, and they just haven't been able to put it together. Wouldn't it be perfect that they'd click over the last 3 weeks when there's no playoffs left on the table? Isn't that the most frustrating thing that will happen? I'm going to ride that. Seahawks at -6.5 against the Bears. Now, again, I locked this in with Justin Fields at quarterback, he's got a lot of talent, a lot of speed. He can use his legs, but he's really struggled so far this season with the NFL. I got that locked in at 6.5, expecting Justin Fields to be a quarterback. Today we learned it's Nick Foles who's going to be a quarterback for the Bears, the highest paid third-string quarterback in the NFL, and former Super Bowl champ will get the start in Seattle. Not sure what that does to the Bears offense. I think if you're playing daily fantasy, I think it's actually an upgrade for Mooney. I think you're going to get a little bit more passing yards than you may have with Justin Fields, but you don't have that dynamic rusher that you had with the rookie in at quarterback. Hopefully you can get Foles to make some rookie mistakes, but he's more than likely going to be able to run the offense a little bit better than Fields, just simply because of experience of reading the defenses and his comfort in the pocket. But again, we're locked in at 6.5. Seattle playing at home used to be a thing. It's not this year, but we're going to ride it right now and see what happens on Sunday. It's going to be a tough week. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the betting. We got a doubleheader on Christmas, and everybody else plays on Sunday. Of course, the Monday night game. And as of now, no NFL games have been pushed back. So it should be a fun weekend. As always, this is for entertainment purposes for you. This is for all of us to use different strategies and how we are able to gamble on sports here in Washington State for the first time at the Turf Club at Northern Quest Resort and Casino. If you've gone with our picks the last 2 weeks, you have not enjoyed yourself. If you've gone against our picks, you've got a pretty fat wallet right now. So again, these are for entertainment purposes only. We're just discussing the different strategies and what we look for when we're making a wager on a game. So far, trying to outthink the NFL and their COVID has worked massively against us, so I tried to go a little safer this week with, you know what, this just isn't going to happen, so let's just bet what should happen and go from there. So don't forget to join us every week outside the holidays when these get over. We will have guests on every week, people that are professional gambling, the professional gamblers and people that work for gambling networks to talk about different strategies and what they're looking for as well. And as always, you can comment, follow us. Let us know what your strategy is. You can tell us we're idiots. You can tell us that we're smart, which we aren't. But you can tell us what you think of us. But tell us what your strategies are. We're in this to learn together. That's the whole purpose of this. Is we have this new avenue to go to the casino and actually use your knowledge to make yourself money. It's not just a pull of a slot machine lever. It's not just a roll of the dice. We can actually use our knowledge, and so we're trying to figure out what the best way is that we can all do this together. We're trying to beat the book. And again, thanks to our friends at Turf Club at Northern Quest Resort Casino, A, for having the opportunity to make bets there, but B, for sponsoring this podcast where we can get together and try to strategize the best way to go about it. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football. We'll see you next week on Beat the Book.